The Stadium Heads Week 2 Stadium Heads episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And make sure to enter the free roll football contest. Up to $3,500 in prizes is up for grabs. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll. That is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll.
Something new coming like that. One thing that can be done in any case is education. More education and more informed people. That's the way it is with everything. The young ones, they ask me advice, and I always tell them, get as much knowledge as you can.
Stadium Heads, man.
The granddaddy of them all, the famed Rose Bowl, jammed with a color of over 100,000 fans for its 67th renewal.
And the weather here today at Notre Dame Stadium, in a word, it is cold, but it is football weather. The temperature 37 degrees, humidity 79%. Forecast cloudy for light rain later on this afternoon.
The average person doesn't know what a good stadium is. They might think they know what a good stadium is, but they think just, our seats are nice and it's so comfortable. We have a 10,000-inch screen we can watch the replay on while we're watching the game, and we got a waiter coming over to take our orders, right? And there's 20 million bathrooms close to us. That's not what makes a good stadium. A good stadium is the look of it, the feel of it, the history of it, the soul of it. That's what makes a good stadium. That's what I mean when I say we're stadium heads. We are stadium heads.
They get to run around. Now those people, they shouldn't even be there. That doesn't even count. If you can't get out in the elements, you shouldn't even go to the game. That's the worst thing. Those cars and boxes up there and dome stadiums and stuff. We don't need that, right?
Welcome to sunny El Paso, the 52nd Sun Bowl, and now
this ancient facility is one of the great settings in all of college football. Neyland is now in its 87th year.
That's what we are, though. We are stadium heads. Welcome back to the Stadium Heads Podcast Week 2 episode, and this has been a fantastic and fun show, but I found it, for me, to be the hardest week to schedule something, and that is because the season has kicked off. YouTube.com/@StadiumHeadsSGPN. It is 6 a.m. or 6:30 or sometime early in the morning here in Los Angeles, but I had to coordinate with this guy to get on the right path, the right schedule, because he's going to games nonstop. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, we are the Stadium Heads. My name is Colby Swiggin, Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. I would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Week 2 is upon us, and look, I get to sit here with my son. White Tiger is his name, but this guy's out in the trenches. He's out in the trenches, and I'm excited to bring you this episode, folks. Once again, youtube.com. If you're listening to this on the audio side, that's fine too, but youtube.com/@StadiumHeadsSGPN. Get on over there, because this guy, I like to say he's the most interesting man in college football, but I think ESPN did a better job on the introduction.
You can follow him on Twitter @CFB Campus Tour. This is his 84th college football game of the 2023 season. He said he's going to end at 90 college football games he's attended this year with the college football national title in Houston. And so, again, he's out there with everybody.
He's like
wet
the US
weather.
Postal Service. Rain, sleet, snow, it doesn't.
He is like the U.S. Postal Service. Give it up for Michael Barker, a.k.a. College Football Campus Tour. How are you, brother? And where the hell in the world are you at right now? This is like, I feel like this is how, it's like you're at NASA station in Houston. That's where I am.
and I'm trying to talk to the astronaut who's somewhere out there. But how are you? Where are you located right now?
Man, I'm good. I'm not in friendly confines of your house hanging out with your family. I'm in some seedy motel in Atlanta, Georgia, which was said $239 and knocked down to $57, but this is a legit $57 hotel. There's no illusions about it. And so the accommodations the night before in Hotel Nissan Rogue were actually a little bit better. So, but I wanted to have a good connection for the show. We went to 6 games last week. It was pretty epic. And, we'll have better scheduling moving forward because that Monday day and Sunday games threw a wrench in what we usually do. But I'm excited to talk about my travels from week 1.
Hell yeah, brother. And I'm glad to see you. I love how you said your Nissan might have been a better hotel room the night before than this. And folks, yes, that is life on the road. You know what I mean? So you went to 6 games was it last week total?
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, 2 on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So you get dropped. You dream about the season for 7 months, and then you just hit the ground running. So 6 games in 1 week. Until November comes with those action games, it's the most you're going to get in a week.
Well, let's get to it, folks. I want to show these slides, and then we'll show what you got lined up for this week. But before I do that, I do want to let the folks know that the Stadium Heads is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and the Sports Gambling Podcast is back picking every NFL game against the spread like they've done since 2011. Plus, to make sure to enter the free roll football contest, up to $3,500 in cash is up for grabs. Sign up at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/free roll. All right, back on the Stadium Heads, and let's just go to where this thing all started for week 1. You were in the great state of Washington, and Roos Field. This was your first time seeing an actual game, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and you caught Monmouth at Eastern Washington, Roos Field there, 57 years old, in Cheney, Washington, so however
Cheney.
You say that. Cheney, gosh, why can't I never remember that? The seats 8,600 people. Tell me about your experiences here, because these are all new photos. These are not the ones that we showed previously of your travels. Tell me about your experiences. This was a pretty darn good game. I felt like Monmouth almost came back and got into this game, but E-Dub did get the dub. How was the trip up there?
Yeah, so I mean, the game was great. We're talking about accommodations and being frugal and saving money. So I will tell you that before the game, I researched accommodations. A rental car $80, hotel $130, but Roos Field in Eastern Washington is only about 15-20 miles from the Spokane Airport. So I looked, and when you go on Google Maps and it will show you how far it takes to walk, how far it takes to drive. Well, there was a bus, and the bus said 45 minutes. And so I looked it up, and it was $2 each way. So I get off the bus at Spokane Airport, or the airport, at 11:30. I take a bus, and there's a transfer point, and the driver does not wait for me. I have to sprint and try to flag him down. Luckily, the bus got caught at a red light, and I'm standing at the door with my transfer thing, looking at him like, will you let me on the fucking bus, please? And so he lets me on the bus. I get there. I had a golf cart tour set up by an alumni person. Shout out to Kelsey. She took good care of me up there. But I had to store my backpack and luggage in her car during the game. And then when the game was over, got my backpack out. Everybody's celebrating. And I caught the late bus and ended up at downtown Spokane till 11:25. Got to the airport and killed 5 hours on the ground and got on the flight. So that's the preface of that. As far as the game goes, you're right. I saw Monmouth twice last year at Elon, at William & Mary. Very competitive team. The CAA is a good conference. And this was a great game. I mean, Eastern Washington jumped out ahead, but they had a hard time putting the final nail in the coffin. And, just from a pure stadium perspective, you mentioned I never saw a game here. This was one that I was trying to figure out a way to get eyeballs on this game on social media, because on a Thursday, if you're going to an FCS game, people are going to tune out with 30 other games. But just the red field and the intrigue. I think a lot of people liked what they saw on social media.
Yeah, just the fact that the red field always brings people in. I know a lot of people talk trash about that, but I feel like you're always like, hey, where's that? Where's that right there? And then right then it's done its trick. Yeah, and Monmouth was battling back and threw a late pick. It looked like they had a little bit of momentum and they were getting back in this game. I was watching it at the studio there. Great
And
shots. What's that?
Yeah, I will tell you that, what you were talking about, the field is a polarizing topic. And when you're there, it does not look as harsh as it does on TV. It's a little bit more dulled. And so, 2 years ago on a Thursday, I went to Central Arkansas. That's the Stripes. And that one is the purple and gray. And that one is harsh in person. But this wasn't as like blood red the way that you would think. But that being said, there's a lot of great sunset photos. It's interesting. You could see that building in the background, that it's like a circular 12-story building. I got some intel on that because I wanted to get up there and take a photo from there, but it's a dorm and the elevator does not work. And so because the elevator does not work, they're not housing any students in there right now. So, which is kind of crazy because you would think, okay, just fix the elevator and you could put students up there. But they said it was not in the best condition, but it makes for a good background. The other side, is the press box and the water tower is lit up, and it's just a cool setting for a stadium. That's the one I'm talking about. I put that on social media. There's that Will Ferrell gif, which, dear God, is beautiful. And there were some comments, I would never, especially people in the Big Sky who, Montana people, like, you can never like anything if it's not like Missoula. Well, two things. Number one, there's only one Missoula. And number two is we like variety, as we're mentioning this. So you got the red field, you got the sunset, you got the lit up press box. And what they told me was that water tower, they installed those lights that at night it shines directly on the Eastern Washington logo. I mean, it looks cool, period. So whether you hate Eastern Washington or you hate red turf or whatever, this is a spot, like, it looks like a cool place you would want to go check out.
Yeah, for sure. This shot's fantastic too. I mean, like, this specific shot is the one that caught my eye of being like, whoa, this is a great shot. And I do, it's like the light is perfectly on the eagle on the water tower, and it's like the Batman effect.
Yeah, they put spotlights literally on it. And, they told me about it before the game kicked off, and, it's light, so you couldn't tell, but it's like the bat signal on the Eastern Washington logo, which is cool.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I love Washington Grizzly Stadium as well. And I've been to an EW Montana game, but hey, yeah, this is still cool and unique, man. I was wondering, who are we looking at here?
We are looking at El Presidente of Eastern Washington. So it's funny, so I took a tour and we passed the president's house, and they said the president lives on campus. And she was walking around, and sometimes you could just notice a person and think they're important. I saw her and she was kind of schmoozing, and I went over to her. I'm like, "Are you the president?" She said, "Yeah." And so, I'm introducing myself, and nothing but great accommodations there, great hospitality. I talk about it all the time where, I love going to P4 games, and I love 100,000 seat stadiums, and you cannot beat the vibe. But when you go to these places, this is my 79th game out of 129 in the FCS. They appreciate the coverage. You can see I got an Eastern Washington shirt on. You can see the credential around my neck. Like, I'm taken care of. And so, you meet the athletic director. I took a photo with him on the field, which was cool. And, there's players I got to talk to. So this is a spot where, okay, as we mentioned, there's 30 other games going on, but most of the time you're not going to be able to walk on the field, talk to the important people, and get appreciated for showcasing their school. So it was a great visit.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. Great. This is fantastic stuff. So, and I do want to, I feel like in previous times we've looked at the stadium from your other shots that weren't actual games. It seems like there's more forest. There are trees down there, not forest, but there's more trees to that end than I remember seeing. in previous photos. Maybe this is your first photo from this exact point of view, but
no, I agree.
Yeah.
It kind of leads into the Big Sky thing. And one thing I should mention, the students aren't even on campus for another 3 or 4 weeks. So the home side is absolutely filled up. I talked to a player on Monmouth. We messaged on Twitter a couple times last year. He was injured for the game, so his parents didn't come out. It's a long way from New Jersey to Cheney, Washington, especially if your son is on the injured list. So despite the fact, good scenery and good crowd for a season opener 3 or 4 weeks before students are even on campus.
Yeah. That's always, that's hard to pack something when you don't have the entire, some of these college towns, that's your whole,
100%.
It's your whole ecosystem in a way. Yeah. Very cool stuff there. What's that?
There's proof right there. There's a full crowd on the home side.
Yeah.
So just the student section and the roadside was light because of no school and coming from New Jersey.
YouTube.com/@StadiumHeadsSGPN, folks, as we continue to break down Eastern Washington. Look, you stayed late, right? Or I'm assuming this is late. Is this waiting on the bus back to Spokane?
That's celebrity treatment. Thanks for the coverage, and make sure you don't miss the last bus out of town for $2. Otherwise, you're taking a $60 Uber to the airport. So yeah, absolutely.
There we go. And got on the field there. And
at the end of the game, they let us check it out.
You said it wasn't as harsh. Interesting to note. And they got the dub, and then didn't I thought I took like a photo of like a bus or something, but maybe I messed that up.
I think I sent you the Spokane, like the downtown bay number 12. If you're questioning me, the transfer there. So it was very interesting to be schmoozing with people down there because it was. Let's say I stuck out a little bit, but it was fun. I'm glad I did it. And $210 versus $4. We just banked 206, which will blow somewhere else during the season.
Bargain shopping. You got to if you're going to be able to do like college football campus tour and hit all the games, you gotta be smart here and take advantage of whatever comes in your path. Folks, before we get to the next trip, because this is Thursday, he goes to another game Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday. But before we do all that, I want to let you know that the Stadium Heads podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Look, the NFL is back this week, and there are a ton of pick'em specials to get you started. They got college football best ball as well over there. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries, so sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, now we jump to, so you get on your flight, you head out to, I'm assuming San Francisco or Oakland, and then you hop in the car, or did you park your car there at the airport? And walk me through getting to Palo Alto, to the farm, to check it out this Friday night TCU Stanford game.
So I flew home to Oakland at 8 a.m. So the game wasn't until 7:30 in Palo Alto. So I had a regular day. I went home, I worked out, and got down to Palo Alto around 3:30 and headed to the game. And this is another case where the students weren't on campus, and the photos will reflect that it was a very light crowd, which when we previewed Stanford, I said, I'm looking forward to hopefully a big crowd. And it was not a big crowd. And there was a lot of TCU fans. But that being said, you only can control what you can control. And a great environment, intimate stadium. Now it's down to 50,000. We mentioned last time they reconstructed it in 2005 from 89,000 down to 50. And it was a very interesting game. Let's just say that.
Oh, that's an understatement. And first, I did see like some ACC handles. This was the first game with Stanford in the ACC.
Yep.
Saying how beautiful this stadium is. They didn't realize that all these years of watching Stanford, and they finally go out to an ACC Stanford game, or I guess not finally, but the first opportunity they finally get out to Palo Alto. And they were surprised by the beauty of it. And I was replying to a couple of them saying, yeah, it's always been a fantastic stadium. It's just fan buy-in is always a concern, especially like when your students aren't coming for another month, so primetime game. And like you said, Troy Taylor, if you watch this game, I was shocked at yes, like a 4th and 16 or 17 from his own, like 22-yard line in a critical game when his offense had really been shitty all game. If anything, his defense had been the thing that had kind of kept them in striking distance, especially in the second half. And then he actually went for 2 of these fourth down decisions that were kind of very. Look, Mike Leach is a friend of ours. May he rest in peace. And the only person I could ever see doing something like that would be Leach, but Leach would normally do that. I don't think he would do a 4th and 17. I think he would do like I remember Leach specifically at Mississippi State was fed up with his offense. This was in the first half. They weren't getting anything going, and he went for a 4th and 3 at his own 20. And I thought that was insane, right? But I was like, and I asked him about this, and he said, well, we had to kickstart this offense. Are we coming to play this to win this game or lose this game? I still disagree with the logic, but it's different than a 4th and 17. Like a 4th and 17 is pretty much a Hail Mary. So very interesting coaching here. Stanford was in this game with a chance to really kind of win this thing had they perhaps made better decisions down the stretch. How was the fan turnout that like sitting next to some of the fans when some of these, whether you're TCU fans or whether it was Stanford fans, what was the vibe of some of the crowd there with some of these decisions he was making?
So I'll be honest, it almost seemed like they were afraid to voice their criticism. There was something about like, you don't speak freely as a Stanford fan, which I found very interesting because I was sitting with some people that some press people I knew, not in the press box, but out there. And I said, there is no coach in the world that would ever rationalize these decisions, let alone twice in a competitive game. I'm not saying they should have won, but they could have won. And those decisions did not need to be made when they were made. I mean, even the last one, there was like 5 minutes left in the game, or the very last one, there was 2 minutes left in the game, hadn't hit the 2-minute warning, and he had 3 timeouts, and he still went for it. So that was the vibe that I had, was they were afraid to voice criticism, which is very unfortunate because that's the whole point of being a fan. But yeah, it was that's the vibe that I got. And I should mention one little thing I got to do was, the Stanford Cal band play, 1982, one of the most. I got to tailgate with Gary Terrell, which is the band guy from the trombone player.
No way.
Stanford. Yeah. So my friend Micah, who's fifth quarter ACC on Twitter, he came out and he told me to meet him at a tailgate, and there I am with Micah and Gary. So that was cool. But yeah, it was interesting. And I've never seen anything like that in coaching. Coach Taylor was the coach for Sac State in that 66-63 playoff game against Incarnate Word 2 years ago. He kicked 2 onside kicks in that game and got them, and they had 739 yards of offense. He was aggressive, but within reason, because they could not stop Lindsey Scott Jr. and Incarnate Word. This one wasn't like TCU scored 50 points and you had to keep pace. So very baffling. Again, glad to have gone. Hadn't been to Stanford since 2017, but I feel like this was a winnable game, and the players gave A+ effort, and the coaches let them down.
Yeah, and it's just so the third quarter, folks. If you didn't catch this game, Stanford only had 1 first down in the third quarter on offense. So that's what I mean. Is like, what gave you the logic, the reasoning behind going for multiple 4th downs inside your own 30? It was puzzling to me. I don't understand it, especially from an institution that, is so quick to remind you about their academics and their how smart they are. It's not reflecting it with your head coaching decision. And I have nothing against Troy Taylor. I just could not believe the things I was viewing, especially 4th and 17. If you have an offense that only had 1 first down in the third quarter and only a couple in the second, I don't understand how you can deduce we can pick up this 17. I actually think you punt the ball, you have a better chance mathematically of the punt returner probably fumbling the punt than you do picking up 17 yards on a stagnant offense that hadn't done that all day. It's really insane logic. And that's crazy that not a lot of people voiced their opinion regarding that. This shot is fantastic. I love the Stanford press box, by the way.
Yeah, it was, it took a few years to get a chance to take these photos, and I was happy to do it. And, when you walk around the outside, even though it was rebuilt in 2005, the first level on the exterior, it feels like the original stadium, like the Rose Bowl with the tunnels and all that. And there's the space on the outside where the concessions are. So very similar to the Rose Bowl on the exterior on the first level, but once you get inside, it's nothing like the original stadium. But yeah, I went to Cal last year. I went to San Jose State last year and finally got back to Stanford. So Bay Area, knocked out. And, we'll see the next time we get back to a game on the farm.
Yeah. And this is always a cool thing.
And those are the arches they left from the original stadium out there, which, signature piece. You want to revamp and rebuild and show something new, but don't tear down all the history. And I think they did a good job leaving this up there.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, man. I can just imagine it packed. It does look very beautiful as a stadium. Yeah, and then this shot's fire right here.
You wish for that crowd, but you can't control it. So hopefully, a couple weeks when students are back on campus, maybe they win a couple games, maybe you'll be filled up. And this one right here, just a little quick fact. So when they dropped the name Indians as their mascot in the early 70s, they were looking for a name. And Griffins, which is a mythological creature, was really embraced by students. And so these statues were at some other place in Palo Alto. They moved them on campus near the athletic facilities, and there was a push for them. It ended up the president chose the color cardinal and the tree rather than this. And I mean, when you look at that, we talk about in the FCS, the jackrabbits and the spiders and the rattlers and all that. Man, Griffins would have been fire. So I wanted to share that little factoid and found the Griffins on campus, which I think are pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's definitely a unique name that is not out there that often. So it would have been pretty cool to have them called that. And that's a pretty cool story with the statues as well. Expensive beers as usual.
$20 for a 24-ounce Modelo at Stanford, and in Las Vegas, it was $18. So it's first year of alcohol on campus, and let's just say the monkey who threw the darts at the dartboard threw it in the wrong spot. Okay, so they're still trying to hammer it down.
Unbelievable, and you're trying to bring fans in.
Yeah.
Right.
And you would think to get them sauced, right? You're trying to get them sauced, so they buy them.
I don't even exactly. I don't understand that logic. Once again, makes me question. Much like that 4th and 17, what's going on over there? Next, we jump to Saturday morning. So hold on. So you're in Palo Alto. The game ends. I feel like what? I don't know. Somewhere I was watching it here at the house, but
11:45 Pacific.
Okay, and then what? You head home, and then, or do you go straight to the airport? What'd you do here?
So because I had I'm gone for 2 weeks, I didn't want to leave my car at the airport. So I drove to my mom's house, who is about 30 minutes from the Oakland airport. I got there at 1 o'clock in the morning. I had a 5 a.m. flight, and nobody in my family wanted to give me a ride to the airport because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So had to catch an Uber. It's a challenge to catch an Uber from the suburbs where she lives at 3 in the morning. And so I caught an Uber, and then I accidentally put in that I was going to the San Jose airport because it was just default. And I tried to switch it in the car, and it said it was $45 to switch it. And so I made him take me back to the house, and then I'm sitting there, and I just said, hey, can we book a new ride? And he would not book me a new ride. And so finally I got a guy. He came at 3:45. I'm boarding at 4 o'clock. And I got in the car, and I was, it's like a movie. It's like drive fast. And he goes, do you mind if I drive really fast? I was like, no, sir, not at all. And so he goes 95 the entire way. I got to the Oakland airport at 4:16. The clear wasn't open yet. I boarded at 4:28. Like almost fucked up the whole thing. So that's what it went. But we landed at 7 o'clock. It's a 2-hour, 10-minute drive up the hill to Flagstaff. the games it won, but it was definitely. And I should mention that I accidentally, when I locked my mom's house, I left my car key inside so she could have it. When I would have driven my car to the airport and just parked it and tried to get them to fish it out. But once I had it locked, I was panicked. So we made it. We're good.
That's life on the road right there. I'm telling you, man, we got to get a documentary crew following you around. Walk up Sky Dome. 47 years old there, Flagstaff, Arizona, as Lincoln. The Oaklanders came in there. Perhaps they were on the same flight. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what you walk right past when you're going to the Sky Dome that I was alluding to earlier when we talked Big Sky Stadiums. Man, I can't help but dream here, man. But
hey, I'm gonna give you some good news. There's talk about an outdoor stadium. That's what I got on the intel. So what you're seeing, people are not ignoring it. I did have fun in the dome, and I think the dome is quirky, and you will show the photos, but there's talk. Okay, so don't give up hope. Your dream might come to fruition someday.
Well, that'd be perfect because I'll buy some real estate there in Flagstaff because I love that damn town. This is beautiful though. If you look at that backdrop, my argument on the Big Sky episode, if you go listen to that, was that this could be Kid Brewer of the West, and you even went to their old stadium, right?
Lumberjack Stadium. This is the track stadium. So this is what they had before they built the walk-up Sky Dome. And again, you're the same views you're talking about.
Yeah. Flagstaff is an awesome city too, folks. If you have not been to Flagstaff, it is a fantastic, fun city there. A couple hours north of Phoenix. The Sky Dome is unique though. And you know, it's funny when I went, it's funny. You shared this photo to me and I was like, damn. Cause when I went to a game here, this was all covered in snow. So I did not see the grass. So I was like, it looks different. But it is a unique dome. I will certainly say that. And it is definitely one of the more unique domes I've ever seen. How was the game? And tell me about your experiences. Cause it is like all that wood up top. It is a very unique dome. I'll give it credit for that. But I just feel like the other stadium's great. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, so it's made out of yellow pine wood. It's very similar to, Holt Arena in Pocatello was the first on-campus dome stadium made out of wood. It inspired Northern Iowa. It inspired the Dakota Dome and this one. And obviously the Kibbe Dome was an outdoor stadium, and then they threw a roof on it. So this followed that blueprint. But, the game 66-3 or something, I believe. And, we saw Lincoln lose to College of Idaho the week before 42-7. So, this was kind of expected. You want to give the home fans something to get excited about in the first game. And, very cool. They lean into the lumberjack thing. The scoreboard is axe handles. In the end zone, they got the NAU logging team that cuts a piece of a log every time they score a touchdown. And I will tell you this. So I got intel with the outdoor stadium. When I was talking with shout out to Alex and Monica there, they took care of me, but he goes, we have obstructed views here. Like we have them, come
like
find
prideful,
them. So,
come check them out. Yeah. Come check them out. Right.
Yeah. So I think the dome wasn't built with these press boxes, and then they built them. Sticks out like 10 feet. And you could just tell right there that, that's in the punishment corner. And, we put about 55% visibility because you can see half of the field and you can't see the other half, but there's twin on each side. So you got on the right and the left of the scoreboard on the home side, right and left. So there's 4 obstructed views total, but definitely fun experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, this is cool. And I will say, having that big ass statue too, when you come into the Sky Dome, there's a gigantic statue of a lumberjacker. I love the mascot name. I love Flagstaff. This is a sleeping giant, man. This is a sleeping giant. Shout out to David Matola, who cracks me up. And look, shout out to AD Kenkel. Love the show, guys. If we get Barker back in Brookings for a semi again, am I coming? I'm never going to rule anything out. The only problem is that, my son's about 6 months old. So, I mean, that's the only, I I don't even get to the studio in LA that often because of the sleep schedule, everything combined. As you can see, didn't get a lot of sleep last night either. So, but I would love to. Brookings has always been on my bucket list, so I would not rule that out. I would not rule that out. But yes, this is a fantastic tradition for scoring a touchdown and then, so working on the chainsaw. It's like, Oregon State has the turnover chainsaw, but you don't really use it. I mean, I kind of like the turnover chainsaw, but this is more legit. You know what I mean? Like this is.
Agree.
When the zombies come, these are they're ready. They're ready here. Yeah, look, the roof is certainly abstract and cool. I know David's giving me a hard time in the chat, but I'm saying I can appreciate that. It's unique.
Here's one thing that I want to tell people. We think of domes, we think of big NFL stadiums. These are almost like arenas. Okay, so we see regular basketball arenas for indoor, Arena League football is 50 yards. It's small. Just imagine that with 100 yards. And that's kind of what you have. There's no seating on either end zone, so it's not a complete circle. It's essentially an arena with a home side and a road side that's sloped up. And as you get to the edges, the rows get smaller. So that's what it is. And again, it's not for everyone, but this is it's a personality place. And if again, we did the red turf with Eastern Washington. Now we got a little dome here. That's what it is. So it's not just this 65,000 seat monstrosity, a little quaint little indoor facility.
This has got more soul to it, man. This has got a little more soul to it. Yeah.
It's not, I don't want to say it's not trying to be taken serious, but it is what it is. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
I just think it's hard when you compare it to the photos of what could be like the practice field. You're just like, oh my God. So, 100%. So now you go from Flagstaff to Tempe, Arizona, for one of the more shocking week one outcomes, in my opinion. I had Wyoming favored in this game. Had a few DMs. That's the best part about making picks, covering the whole sport. I think I should next episode. I'll just read some of the DMs calling me a dumb piece of what. But Wyoming at Arizona State, Sun Devil Stadium, classic Sun Devil Stadium there, Tempe, Arizona. I know you'd been there before. I've been there before. Love this stadium. Wyoming. I think it was the first or the second play of the game was a pick six, and from there it was a bloodbath. Tell me about your travels down here to Tempe, and how about just everything, the commute. You had been warned that the traffic might be a situation. How was it?
It was fine. And what I was told was, most of the traffic is leaving Phoenix and getting out of town on a Saturday morning. And I landed at 7 and it was okay going up. And on the way back, it was even easier. I mean, they told me the elevation at Tempe is 1,200 and Flagstaff is 7,000. So I just drove for 2 hours down the grade, 5,800 feet, and everybody was going 90, 95. So I ended up getting to Tempe, parking my car about 6:05. The game was at 7:30. So I had time. The first photo you just showed was what it looked like when the sun is out. And it's a freaking spectacular photo. And I wish I could have got it. But by the time sunset was 6:53, the game kicked off at 7:30, and I really was having trouble with my cameras. You can see the lights shining a little bit from the lights, which is cool in the light. It almost looks like it's they're sparkling. But once you got with the sundown, they were just washing out the whole thing. So I actually, if you fast forward a couple photos, if there's like with the night going, and there's the backdrop, and these are what you want. But these are all pregame shots. You just imagine if the kickoff was at 6:30, but I was having so many problems. I was literally talking to people next to me, asking them, hey, when you shine your phone up, do you get those glare lights? And everyone I did, but there was one kid and he shined it up, and I don't know what model phone he had. And it was fine. And I said, hey man, do you think I could possibly take a few photos with your camera? And so he hands me the camera, and it's all Japanese characteristics, right? And I'm like trying to figure it out. He shows me how to do it. I take like 6 or 7 photos. He airdrops them to me, a student, and, you know, I shake his hand. I'm like, you saved my life. And this guy is like, who is this crazy old dude, you know? but when you plan the same thing we talked about with Stanford is I've been at Arizona State since 2018. And when you miss good photo opportunities, literally by 37 minutes because the sun went too far down, it hurts when you're a person who prides yourself on good photos. So shout out to that student who, you know, walked me through the Japanese characteristics on the phone and let me use it, airdropped it above and beyond. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I wish I had his name to plug, but help it out. You know, and that's what I love about you, man, is, you know, why I find you the most interesting man in college football is whether it's you're on a bus in Spokane or, you know, sleeping in your rental outside of Brookings, South Dakota, or in a snowstorm, or you're just going to find a way to get it done. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let me borrow your phone there, dude. That was me, and I didn't know. You'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" No, right? What's going on here?
Like, I'm gonna grab it and ask to borrow it, and then run away, and he's never gonna see his phone.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, so yeah.
I've lived in LA too long, right?
yeah. I was literally desperate. Let's just say that. So yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, and then Arizona State. It worked out for Arizona State too, as they beat the hell out of Wyoming, 48-7, and I think they kind of called off the dogs in a way. Whew.
I agree.
Very encouraging first game there in year 2 for Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils. And this stadium always delivers. I mean, from my experience there, I love the stadium. So it's and how was the turnout? You know, I was wondering how this would be because of how bad last season was.
Yeah, and that's one thing. You can see the student section was actually absolutely packed. They were in class. It's been about a week, so they were there. And same thing you're talking about. I mean, 3-9 team playing on paper a scary opponent, and they showed up. And pregame, I spotted an obstructed view in the student section, but they had it on lock. Right, there was like 2 ushers at every opening, and so it took me to like the 4th quarter. These are when students are kind of leaving. And, you know, I went up to a student, showed her my, you know, calendar and everything. And so she set these up, and 2 obstructed views on one Saturday. That's a pretty good day.
Right. YouTube.com/@StadiumHeadsSGPN. Sun Devil Stadium. Look at that right there with the big flame on the side of
these people missed probably 3 touchdowns that day because it was scored on and you couldn't see it, but that's okay.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And then late night, caught a little late night shot of Sun Devil Stadium. I just love, I wish the Arizona Cardinals still played here, man. It's just so much better than the toaster oven. But at the same time, I also like it unique to Arizona State at the same time. So, yeah. And you got the Big 12 logo on there, brand new after years in the Pac-10, Pac-12. Fantastic. So then, and this shot here, pretty fire.
That's the one. That's the one that I got. And, you know, we're able to, you know, eliminate the shadows, eliminate the beam, time out the scoreboard with something cool on it. And this is it. You know, I may not be back at ASU for another 5 years. Who knows what happens? So at least I can leave there and be happy with the product that I walked away with.
I love David Matola here in the chat, who is a noted Arizona Wildcat fan, saying classes. The students are.
I don't get in the weeds of that stuff, you know. I mean, we'll just leave it at that. So
I appreciate the rivalry, though. I appreciate coming in here and throwing slander at your rivals. And I look forward to the Territorial Cup every year. So, yeah. Okay. So next so from there, you stay in the desert, but go to a different city as you go from Phoenix to Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. If you've listened to us over the months that we've done this show, we're not the biggest fans of Allegiant Stadium, but this game delivered. It did deliver as a good game. We're pro Sam Boyd over here. We'll take Sam Boyd over Allegiant, but tell me about your travels and did anything change perhaps on your opinion of Allegiant? Obviously this game did deliver though.
No, I it was a great game on the field, but I did not have fun. It was boring. It was soulless. They set the record crowd. Something. They hosted the Super Bowl not too long ago. They broke that. Any Raider game broke that. But I don't know. I go to bowl games as a neutral fan, and it's the home side and the road side, and they're going against each other. I understand that, but you want especially when you could have played at Tiger Stadium or the LA Coliseum. But I'm glad that I went because there was a lot of eyeballs on it. And it was a great game. Should mention that they shoot the fireworks off before the game. And then there was a cloud of smoke in the stadium the whole time because there's nowhere for that smoke to escape. So
I saw several people talking about that. I saw my apologies on cutting you off. But I saw like plenty of reporters that were there. Like I'm drawing a blank on the guy from Sports Illustrated, but he was talking about how great of a stadium it was, and then his very next tweet was the smoke stayed in the stadium. And in my head, I'm just like, well, you wouldn't have this problem at Sam Boyd. But anyway, how long did that linger?
Oh, for the entire first half, every shot that I took was hazy. So it doesn't matter how many billions you spend if you don't have people accounting for things like this. So, but again, I do like the end zones. That's what it was like when the Las Vegas Bowl. I went to the 2018 Las Vegas Bowl and Sam Boyd. Those red one, that one on the right, those were the end zones. So they did everything they could. But when you navigate around a college stadium, they're not as angry when it comes to going to different sections, and you don't need a bracelet. And so this is like, I feel like I bring something to the table when I cover a game, and to get yelled at for not standing there or don't do this, and I'm like, I'm not saying, do you know who I am? But like, let me do my thing. I'm trying to promote this game, So, but there were no on campus games this day. So it was neutral site games, a couple D2s or this, and the fact that I was in Phoenix and it was a, hour and 10-minute flight to Vegas. This was the easy decision, but great game. And we checked it off.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, it was a good game. I still question the targeting that was that late in the game, because it's like, what are you supposed to do with the game on the line? But it was still a very good football game. Yeah, and from there, there's the outside. There's the tailgating scene. You get that. What is that? The Luxor, I believe, right there.
Bay and Delano, and so cool. It's cool to look at, but it'd be better to look at from inside the stadium than outside the stadium.
Yeah. And broke the record there for attendance. So college football comes in and conquers that filthy stadium.
College football game gets more than the Super Bowl or the Raiders. So suck on that, NFL.
Yeah, exactly. Folks, want to tell you before we get to our next one, want to tell you that the Stadium Hits podcast is brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on moneyline spreads, totals, and props. The Rhythm college football models had me on Colorado and North Dakota State under 59.5, which was a sweet cash. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So what are you doing? Take the guesswork out of buying those tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. And this works for college football as well, folks. CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, next up we go to Doak Campbell Stadium. I am very curious about the tone, the vibe, and the feel of this stadium. First off, I couldn't help but notice via television that it looked like it was somewhat under construction. Seating 80,000 just about there, 74 years old. Tell me about your travels to Tallahassee. You've been to the Doak before, but what perhaps might have been different this time? And obviously, I mean, Florida State got their ass kicked, so maybe that was different. Tell me about your travels there.
Yeah, so only way to make it to Tallahassee in time, leaving Vegas, caught a 12:23 a.m. flight, landed in Chicago, and then connected to Jacksonville. Got to Jacksonville at 12:30. It's about a 2-hour and 45-minute drive. Got to Tallahassee around 4 o'clock. Game at 7:30, so was able to make it, but it's not the easiest transition. You mentioned the stadium being under construction. They are reducing capacity by about 10,000 seats and adding this little premium party patio platform blah blah thing that they'll charge double for, and then people are relocated and lose their season tickets for 20 years. So that's what's going on there. You can see on the left on this picture, that whole spot is under construction. Those seats underneath are metal bleachers, and they'll be removed, and then the concrete will connect the rest of the stadium. But you're right, this was coming off a 13-0 season, then going week 0 losing to Georgia Tech and Ireland. This was a desperate game, especially starting off with 2 conference opponents. Boston College unknown, Bill O'Brien, new coach, so you don't know what he's going to bring. And they got their ass kicked, and they booed DJU as much as possible. The sad thing is when you look at the box score, they ran for, I think, 21 yards. Boston College had 39 minutes of possession. They were like in 3rd and 14 on 3rd down, which meant that they were in 3rd and long the whole game. But, I talked to Plant the Spear podcast. Shout out to him. We met up during the game, and he said, after week 1, we really trashed the team. And he said, if they lose this game when it was 14-0, he said, we're going to go nuclear. And they were chanting for the backup. I think his name was Brock something. And so this was, I was asking for a book. Because that Florida State Clemson game where that guy's reading the book and it's like 66-0.
Yes. I think your connection broke up a little bit there, but yeah, one of the things that is I love the goalpost here. The goalpost is the H right there. Old school look to it. Obviously, the rich history of Florida State with Bobby Bowden, Burt Reynolds. You know what I mean? Lee Corso, Charlie Ward, all these greats for many different reasons. Part of Doak Campbell's history there. And shout out, I know you met up with Avetta too. Shout out to Avetta, longtime listener. Just fantastic. I really do love this shot. It's a shame that this was under construction. I know Michael has some internet problems right now. We will try to get back in touch with him there. Life on the road at a, well, not the greatest of hotels, as he told me earlier. But yes, this game was hilarious. And look, he to what he was alluding to, Boston College, I think, had like 240 yards on the ground to like 21 or 25 or something for Florida State. It was a true ass kicking on the line of scrimmage there, as Florida State, I don't know how many wins they're going to get this year. They got a bye week this week to focus on things, but the Memphis Tigers come in that they have a lot of aspirations of being that group of 5 team to the playoffs. And I think you could argue that they're probably better than Boston College, or at least last season they were. So something to note there. I think we got Michael back here. I know he's got a jet out soon. Internet connection, it's a kind of a shitty hotel there, right?
$57 hotel internet service. So yeah, I'll pick up on the, everyone was pissed off the entire game. Let's just say that. Yeah. And I was noting the goalpost, as much as they want to build some crazy bar or something with all that Saudi money running through there. The goalpost still fire. All right. The old H goalpost. Unique. There's only 3 of them: LSU, Washington State, and Florida State.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You had, this is the opening run out, I'm assuming, because they barely scored after this.
Yeah. Chief Osceola, Renegade, the classic slam the spear lit in the 50-yard line, and then he runs over the student section. They fire off fireworks. One of the best traditions in all of college football.
Yeah. Obstructed view alert.
This is for 2024 only. So you can see on this side, there's concrete steps with the bleachers on them, and the other ones, those are temporary bleachers. So once they get the season over, they'll connect those with permanent concrete. They have this chain link fence put up there. There's double metal bars there. And, this was probably the best seat if you're a Florida State fan for this game.
Yeah. And shout out to the Stadium Heads t-shirt you're rocking. You can get that in the merch store, folks. Get the SGPN app free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store, or just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Go to the merch store. Get yourself a Stadium Heads t-shirt, hat. We got all that good stuff. Or their sweatshirt. Get yourself a hoodie. And go check out some college football games. So the schedule for that was week 1. How did it feel just to be out there week 1? You know what I mean? Just to be like, cause week 0 is great, but it's just one game. It's kind of like a one-off, and you're in this mode now that won't stop until January. How did it feel? Just, oh shit, I got to get going. You got to get going right now to start your next voyage. You went to an Atlanta Braves game last night. But how did it feel? Just boots on the ground and just traveling.
A little bit of a shock to the system, as much as you can say, oh, I'm ready. I mean, for 7 months I planned, and, I tried it last year during the season. I lost 11 pounds from under eating and bad nutrition and bad sleep. And so I tried to bulk up a little bit more but when you're sleep deprived, it just will hit you, especially when you've been comfortable in a bed for a few months. So there's an adjustment period. We tried to recuperate with this hotel in theory, but this was a gross place to stay. So we're not as recuperated as we wanted to be, but this is the way it is. I hashtag glamour life, which is sarcastic because, if you're on Twitter and you see me pop at all these games, it's fun. It's awesome. No complaints here. But that being said, I always say when an athlete retires, a lot of times they say, it's not the games. I love the games. I hate the practice. I hate the training. I'm tired of that. And that's what it is. So how can you deal with that? How long can you put up with it? And you mentioned, the season extended till January 20th now. This is going to be a grind. So, but I'm ready, and we got, 5 new games week 2, and we're going to keep it going.
Yeah. And here we go right here. This is your travel schedule, and it starts, and I think I forgot to take off the dates there. But tell me about, you are going to Barron Stadium shortly after this. And I know we got to head out soon, so I'll let you just run through the travel schedule. And next week will be a little more organized. We plan to go on Mondays, folks. So the schedule shifting to Mondays, obviously this week threw it off because of Labor Day, but tell me about this travel that you're doing here.
Yeah. So there's no D1 games on Thursday because Kansas City Chiefs are opening the NFL stadium. Wednesday, this is a game not even that many people even know about. So tonight, Shorter University versus Mississippi College, D2 school. Thursday, Grand Valley State, Michigan is a D2 power. I've been to their stadium. It's legit, like G5 quality stadium. Indiana is Friday night versus Western Illinois. I haven't been to Bloomington for a game since 2019. There's the Northwestern game is playing Duke, but it's, that temporary stadium. But we talked offline. The kickoff is at 8 and the sun goes down at 7:20. So it kind of defeats the purpose of being there. And then, we just hit number 80 is FCS schools. So we're getting the pursuit. The Northeast does not play that many night games. And so you got to capitalize. 2 for 1 in Connecticut, Sacred Heart at 1, Central Connecticut State at 6. And, we'll have a 3 days back home, and we'll kick week 3 off on a Thursday back on a regular schedule.
There we go. Going from Sacred Heart is in Fairfield, Connecticut to New Britain, Connecticut, there, Central Connecticut State. Right. Love it. I love the fact, you were at Florida State. Yeah, you were at the LSU USC game, but you're also hitting fucking Sacred Heart. You're hitting the Sacred Hearts game, a shorter game, a Grand Valley. That's what I love, man, is the travel. You don't, it's as fun to go to a D2 game as it is some of the FBS or maybe even more fun. So we're going to have that next week. We're going to document all of this next week. Subscribe to the Stadium Heads podcast, wherever you get podcasts. Also, youtube.com/@StadiumHeadsSGPN. We'd love to break these down a little more, but life on the road is happening right now. So he's got a jet. I got a jet. Till next week, folks. This is the Stadium Heads. Make sure you give Michael a follow, because if you think this podcast is great, you're going to love his Twitter handle at CFB Campus Tour on Twitter. If you follow his page, I think it's phenomenal. That's how I even became friends with Michael. I was like, who the hell is this guy doing this crazy, rigorous travel to all these fantastic football spots that make college football so great? So check him out at CFB Campus Tour. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Excited for next week's show because I don't know much about Shorter's football stadium. I don't know much about Grand Valley State's stadium, or even Sacred Heart or Central Connecticut State. And Indiana is a classic. So can't wait for next week. We got you covered. We are the Stadium Heads. Till next time, folks, this is the Stadium Heads podcast. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
No cream, no sugar, mocha only. Choke the microphone away, he low can choke a phony, won't he? Told him play a station like a broken Sony. Tenderoni phone, she only come and stroke the pony. That good loving deserves a Uncle Anatoni. Raps in the hood bugging, he want more raw baloney. Chachi need to watch his bony, skinny Joni. Villain fitting and fatten her up with minestrone. Been grown, chrome Molly skin tone. While he rock the end zone, tap your toe or chin bone. The choice is yours alone. The game for the throne, and to get the game zone. Doom name known as the Don for sure true. And he won't show his face or sponsor your group. He sneak up and throw you for a loop. She picked up, speak up if you want some more soup.
New suits again, who do's cruise again, who's too smooth, who's slews want snooze with him. No surprise, no new news to him. Here's a light bulb, now how many of you screw this in? I do better when it's less team effort. With an old blue sweater, I'm a less clean wrestler. Full circle, back to the drawing board. Mike by the mirror, I'm the best I ever saw record. Open doom, get it sewn like an open wound. Two scientists up in the lab will make it go kaboom. They said don't mix those two properties together, probably end up with some empty eye sockets or whatever. I'm only here to hunt pleasure like some treasure. Never from a whack pack of bitches like the Heathers. After this, you better owe 'em for some loot. You freaks, what the fuck will make me want some more soup?